the homework that was due today. A lot of you did a nice job. Some of you were just off by some rounding. I see some errors in your thinking for some of you, so I kind of want to fix that today. Today's also the last day of the third quarter, so I will be creating averages. And fourth quarter starts on Monday. Now, I do want to have our first quiz based on this new material on Tuesday. I have put up on Google Classroom a survey for you guys to fill out about what's the best hour of the day to quiz you, because I'd like everyone to sit down at the same time and open up the quiz together, and then I give you guys an hour to take it. And then what we'll do from there is, once I can figure out a time that works best for almost everybody, that's when I'll set up the quiz. So there is a survey for you to fill out that's due by Monday as well. So let's run through this. So here's the key to your homework. And the first question said the number of moose living on a preserve in Maine is represented by this equation. So I'm going to put a box around it. That equation's important. Where T represents the year since 2010. So that means this whole equation is based on 2010. See, everything that we know about the moose population from the given equation. All right, now, the number in front of the parenthesis is always the current or original amount. So that means there's going to be 225 moose in the year this is based on. So that's something that I know. So there are 225 moose in 2001. Now, you should also be able to identify whether this thing is increasing or decreasing. And the number in the parenthesis tells us that. If this number is less than 1, it means it's decreasing. So I'm going to write the number of moose is decreasing because 0.92 is less than 1. So I know it's going to be decreasing because that number, 0.92, is less than 1. If that number was bigger than 1, it would be increasing. Now, we do need to know how much by. So the rule is you always subtract away from the number 1. So if I turn my calculator on now and do 1 minus 0.92, I'm getting 0.08. That means it's decreasing by 8%. So in your homework, or on your homework, you had to check off some boxes that were true. The 2 boxes you should have checked off were that there were 225 moose in 2010 and that it was decreasing by 8%. Okay, next question. How many moose to the nearest moose, it means we're going to round, normal rounding rules, are in the preserve today? All right, it's currently 2020, so it is 10 years later, right? 2020 minus 2010 means 10 years have gone by. So I'm going to take the equation, 225.92, and for the time, I'm going to plug in 10. And I'm going to type that in my calculator. 225.92 raised to the 10. And this is what I'm getting, 97.737. They're asking us to round to the nearest moose, so 97.7 rounds up to 98 moose. Okay. Next one. How many moose to the nearest moose were in it in 2005? All right. Now, how many years, right? Now, 2020 was 10 years after that. We need to know how far 2005 was from 2010. It was back 5 years ago. So when you go back in time, you're going to put a negative. So I'm going to do 225.92, and I'm going to raise it to negative 5 because I want 5 years before 2010. So 225.92 raised to back in time 5. And then I want to round to the nearest moose. 341.3 means we have 341 moose. these are the answers you should have had for the next two. All right, during what year will there be 100 moose on the preserve? That means we want to set the equation equal to 100. We want to know how many moose we have, and we want time. All right, so step one, you should have divided by 225. You are never going to multiply 225 times the 0.92. The 0.92 belongs to the t, so you got to get rid of him. So I'm going to divide that over. So I'm going to do 100 divided by 225. And look at all those 0.4s. So don't round too soon. I'm going to put a whole bunch of 0.4s, lots and lots of them, equal to 0.92 to the t. All right, now at this point we're going to use logs. And you know you're going to use a log anytime your exponent is what you're trying to find. So I'm going to log it. So the easiest way to do this would be to write the word log. 0.92 is the base. And then you're going to put a whole bunch of 0.4s in here. So I'm going to go to my calculator. I'm going to clear that out. I'm going to hit math, scroll up to log base, put 0.92, and then 0.444444. Lots and lots of them. Don't, more the better. And I'm getting 9.7, so I'm going to write that down. So I'm getting 9.7255. 526. All right. Now, it didn't say how many years, right? It said during which year. What year is this whole thing based on? The whole thing was based on 2010. That means during this amount. So during 2019, right? During that year, it's going to hit 100 moose. So that was the first bunch of questions. Let's see here. Next one. Gas is currently, okay. I'm going to underline the word currently, 246. That's important. Anything that's original or current is the number we're going to put in front of the parenthesis. So that's what I'm going to start with. If the price is increasing means I'm going to do 1 plus. If it said decreasing, we would do 1 minus by 3% each year. All right, so 3% would be 0.03. So I'm going to put 0.03 here. All right. So that's my setup. How much will we have in 10 years? 10 is time. So it's going to go there. So I'm going to grab my calculator. 2.46 parentheses 1 plus 0.03 raised to the 10. And I'm going to get... Now, some of you left this at 3.30, but it's money. So you're always going to round to the nearest cent. Anytime it's cost, money, you're going to round to the nearest cent. So it's $3.31. All right. How much would be 10 years ago? That's back in time. So you're still going to do the same setup, but back 10 years ago means you're going to plug in negative 10. So 2.46, 1.03, right? Raised to the negative 10. Same thing, round to the nearest cent. That's $1.83. All right. So those should have been the homework answers. Now, I'd like you guys to try another one. I'm going to make another one now. Okay. I'm going to write you a question. I want you to write it down and see if you can come up with the answers. Let's see. There are currently 400 apples on a tree. Listen, on a tree. The apples are falling off at a rate of 8%. Actually, let's not do 8%. Let's change it up. At a rate of, let's do 12% every 2 days. A. How many apples will be on the tree in 1 week? Okay. B. When will there be 20 apples on the tree? Round your answer to the nearest day. All right, so let's take a look at this second. Question. Okay, there are currently 400 apples on the tree. The apples are falling off at a rate of 12% every 2 days. How many apples will be on the tree in a week? And B, when will there be 20 apples on the tree? Round your answer to the nearest day. Okay, and same deal here. We're going to round to the nearest apple. So take a second, pause the video, and see if you can come up with those answers. Okay, hope you paused me. Let's see how you did. So there are currently 400 apples. So that means 400 is going to go in front of the parenthesis. The apples are falling off. All right, so I'm going to put the number 1, because you're always going to put the number 1. Are the apples increasing on the tree or decreasing on the tree? Well, they're falling off, so they're decreasing by 12%, and 12% is 0.12. 0.12. Okay? Every 2 days. Now, we talked about the word every. That means you're going to do your time divided by 2. All right, so this is going to be my apple equation. So that's the equation we're going to use to do all this. And if we cleaned it up, it would be 400 if I do 1 minus 0.12. It's 0.88. The T over 2. So that's the equation we're going to use. Right? Again, every means you're going to put it underneath. All right, how many days will there be, how many apples will be on the tree in a week? So how many days are in a week? 7. So apples is going to be 400.88, and we're going to do 7 over 2. 7 days in a week. And go to the calculator. So let's do 400.88, fraction button, right? 7 over 2. And I'm getting to the nearest apple, right? I'd be 256 apples. Okay, when will there be 20 apples on the tree? Round your answer to the nearest. All right, so we want to know when the apples. So we're going to do 20 equals 400. We want to know when the apples, so it's going to be 20. So what are we going to use eventually to solve this? Okay. And I'm hoping you're thinking this is a log question because we're trying to find an exponent. And what must we do first to get this started? I'm hoping you're thinking divide by 400. So divide by 400. So those cancel. So that's your job. You always want to cancel the thing in front of the parenthesis. So I go to my calculator. I'm going to do 20 divided by 400. Right? I'm getting 0.05. So 0.05 equals 0.88 t over 2. Now, instead of doing it by a log, I'm going to log both sides. One log. I'm going to log both sides in this one. Doesn't matter which way you do it. Actually, I'll do it 2 ways. Option 1. Right? One way of doing it is to log both sides. So I'm going to do log 0.05 equals log 0.88 t over 2. It becomes log 0.05 equals t over 2 log 0.88. Okay, now I'm trying to get to the t. So I'm going to divide by log 0.88. Okay. So this is going to come up here. So I go to my calculator. This is going to cancel. And I'm going to type in log 0.05 divided by log 0.88. And I'm going to write the whole thing down. 23.43466.528 equals t over 2 is left over. Now, this is a fraction, so I'm going to make this a fraction and cross multiply. T equals, take whatever's on your calculator, times it by 2, and it looks like, and I said round to the nearest day, that would be 47 days. All right, so that's one option to solving it. I'll do option, and you write log 0.88, you put 0.05 here equals t over 2, and when you put that in your calculator, it just jumps right to this part. So I'm assuming most of you are doing it this way. And then you cross multiply. And you get the 47 days. Okay, so that's the faster way. This is another way of doing it as you move into pre-calc and stuff. Sometimes they want you to do it both ways. I'm going to give you one more question. Okay, give this guy a try. And then you have $500 to invest. Okay. The investment firm says it can double your money every 15 years, which, by the way, guys, is good. Okay, every 15 years. Let's see here. Okay, find a formula. Okay, so we're going to find a formula that represents the situation. B, how much will you have in, let's say, 5 years? Okay. C, when will, after how many years, when we get better? After how many years? 2 nearest 10. Will it take for you to have, let's say, $1,700? Okay, so take a second, pause me, and see if you can answer these questions. Oop, let me pull it back down here. Okay, I hope you pause me. Let's see what you come up with. You have $500 to invest. The investment firm says it can double your money every 15 years. So every should be a red flag that you're going to have a fraction in the exponent. So your formula, right, is going to be the amount equals, the original amount is 500. Now in this one, I didn't give you a percent. I said you can double your money. Doubling means you're just going to throw a 2 in there. So if I say you can triple your money, put a 3 in there. If I say you have a half your money or half-life, you would put a half in there. And then it would be t over 15 because it said every. So that should have been the formula. Next one. How much will you have in 5 years? All right. So A equals 500, 2 to the 5 over 15. So that's what I'm going to type in my calculator now. 500, 2 raised to the fraction 5 over 15. Now remember, it's money, so we're going to round to the nearest cent. So you're going to have $629.96. And finally, How many years to the nearest tenth will it take you to have this much? Well, that's the answer. You do 1700 equals 500. 2 raised to the 2 over 15. Okay. Should be getting sick and tired of these, so we're going to divide by 500. Oh, that cancels. 1700 divided by 500 is going to be 3.4. Okay, so 3.4 equals 2 to the t over 15. And this is where I'm going to rewrite it as a log. So I know you guys like this way better, so it's going to be log little 2, 3.4 equals t over 15. Okay, so math, oh, put a little 2, 3.4, and I'm getting that, 1.765534746 equals t over 15. That's a fraction, so make this guy cross multiply. T equals, so I'm going to take whatever's on my calculator screen and times it by 15. And I want it to the nearest tenth, so it's going to be 26.5 years. All right, you guys. And that's a little recap of what we've done. So, your very first quiz, distance learning, is going to be Tuesday of next week. So you guys have 2 things to do for me for homework. 1 is to fill out the survey about what time on Tuesday works best for you. You can click more than one option. So there's going to be a whole bunch of different times. If a lot of different times work for you, you click them all. There's also going to be a review, some practice questions for you guys to do over the weekend that's due on Monday as well. I'm going to go over those a little bit. I'll probably post the answers on Monday. And then Tuesday will be our very first quiz. All right. Talk to you soon.